Hello, my name is Helga Edwards, and today I have a message for people who are abusive. Abuse is a desire to control or manipulate the life of another human being. Abuse is not a relationship problem. It is a problem within the person who is abusing. People who abuse need individual, not relationship counseling. People who abuse see things in a distorted way. The way they see themselves and others is distorted. Their interactions with others are distorted. And they try to pull people into their distorted perceptions. It is a problem within them. So what might be going on inside of people who abuse? I'm going to be talking about some possible factors. So one possible factor is exposure to abuse. Negative role modeling. When people grow up and they are exposed to abuse, to relationships where one person has all the power and the say and other person has none, they then internalize a dysfunctional image or a learned pattern of what relationships look like. Okay, so they learn that you're either up here or you're down here. You're either up here, and some people think of it as superior versus inferior, or you're down here. And then what happens is they either experience this abuse or they see it and they decide, I don't want to be down here. And so they decide, I'm going to be up here. And so up here, they feel power. They have a say. And down here, the person is powerless and has no say. And sometimes what people do is they flip back and forth in relationships. So this is what they've learned. You're either up here or down here. So in some relationships, they're up here and they're controlling and abusive. In other relationships, they're down here. And sometimes even within the same relationship, they might flip back and forth. People have different words as well for this. So basically it can be something like, oh, if you're up here, you're something. Down here, you're nothing. If you're up here, you win. Down here, you lose. It could be right, wrong, success, failure. But it is an imbalanced and power over relationship. We need a new blueprint for relationships. It's something completely different than what's been internalized. These learned patterns of relationships, sometimes that's all people know. It's all they've seen. And then they're automatically pulled here emotionally or there emotionally or both. But they can learn a new blueprint. And this is the new blueprint. It's to love your neighbor equally to yourself, where both people have value. Where both people have say. Where people share power. When people learn about this, they often say, I don't know how to do that. I've never seen it. It's completely different and it doesn't feel safe. But this pattern has been learned. It has been internalized and it can be changed. We can bring all of this that's internalized out into the open, understand it, and learn a new way. The beliefs that we've internalized that we're unaware of, they really affect our behavior. So if we bring this out into the open and challenge it, then we can change our behavior. And we can ask ourselves, is being up here and being abusive really the only way to be safe? What would be another way to be safe in a relationship where we don't hurt ourselves or others? Well, this is the way, because you are not losing power, you are sharing power. So it's not that you're down here, you are both sharing power. Both have influence, both have a say, both have equal value, both respect each other's boundaries as equally important. And this new way needs safety, needs self-worth, needs self-care, healthy communication, problem solving, boundaries, and a healthy support network. With this new blueprint, everybody has a voice, everyone has influence, everyone can say no, everyone can exist, because when you're down here, it's like you can't exist as a person. Everyone is seen as precious. Everyone can learn to control themselves and not seek to control others. Everyone can learn with God's help to talk to people in a way that values the person and always respects their will. This new blueprint works. It works. It's more complicated and there's more steps, but it works. The old pattern always self-destructs. So you can practice to break out of the old pattern and learn a new way. Otherwise, your relationships will look the same and always have the same outcome. Sometimes there's something called a repetition compulsion, where people keep trying to find a solution, either in the same abusive relationship or in other relationships. And they keep, this repetition compulsion, well, maybe this person will make me happy, or maybe this time they'll get it right, but it won't work because it's not a relationship problem. The problem is inside of the person who's abusive, and they need to do their own work, their own internal work, in order to be able to start to do this. And in the new blueprint, the person who abuses can learn to ask themselves these questions. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I believing? Am I believing that my partner is at fault and that my partner is responsible for how I feel? Am I believing that my partner is responsible to make me happy? What am I believing? What am I believing that somebody needs to be up here and the other person needs to be down here? And you want to challenge those mistaken beliefs. And then what am I needing? What do I need to do to take care of myself? Instead of what does my partner need to do to take care of me? What do I need to do to take care of myself? What are my options? How can I safely and respectfully pursue a safe option and communicate with others if I need to? People who abuse often have a fear of abandonment. And that's really connected to the shame lie that they've internalized. But instead of trying to control others, what they need to do is to learn to make healthy connections within themselves, healthy connections with God, and then healthy connections with others. Healthy love respects boundaries. Healthy love lets people say no around their boundaries physically, sexually, intellectually, emotionally, socially, spiritually. Love is about mutual respect, not control. Any form of abuse, physical, emotional, or psychological, is unacceptable in a relationship. Often when people won't listen and won't compromise when they insist on being up here, they're afraid of losing power. But studies have shown that 81% of the time when one partner does not share power, the relationship ends. So the consequence of, wanting to hold on to power is that we lose power. People withdraw, and then we live a lonely and frustrated life. When you try to win the argument, you lose the relationship. So we want to learn to communicate honestly and respectfully. Your partner deserves respect, honesty, and kindness. Everyone deserves to be in a relationship where they feel safe, respected, and free from manipulation. People need to be able to say no, to have their own thoughts and feelings that are different, to feel and to not ever feel manipulated to do things they don't want to do. God has expectations of us. People who are strong are expected to help and protect people who are weak. People who are rich are expected to help the poor. People who have a lot of knowledge are expected to share that knowledge to help others. People who are in positions of leadership, whether in institutions or companies or government, are expected to serve and care for those they're leading, not to use their positions to oppress or exploit. Parents are expected to protect their children as much as they're able to, and to teach them to do right. When people use their strength or what they have to misuse, abuse, and mistreat others, they have violated God's trust. And one day we will all answer to God for how we have treated others. Thank you.